Hi everyone, thank you for coming back to my channel. In this video, I will talk about the accurate dates of Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection. Okay, let's get started. Okay, let's look at Matthew 26:1. The plot to kill Jesus. When Jesus had finished saying all these things, he told his disciples, "You know that the Passover begins in 2 days, and the Son of Man will be handed over to be crucified." Then we look at Matthew 26:2. At that time the chief priests and elders of the people assembled in the courtyard of the high priest, whose name was Caiaphas. Matthew 26:3. And they conspired to arrest Jesus covertly and kill him. Matthew 26:4. But not during the feast, or there may be a riot among the people. Matthew 26:5. While Jesus was in Bethany in the home of Simon the leper. Matthew 26:6. A woman came to him with an alabaster jar of expensive perfume, which she poured on his head as he reclined at the table. Matthew 26:7. When the disciples saw this, they were indignant and asked, "Why this waste?" Matthew 26:8. This perfume could have been sold at a high price and the money given to the poor. Matthew 26:9. Aware of this, Jesus asked, "Why are you bothering this woman? She has done a beautiful deed to me." Matthew 26:10. The poor you will always have with you, but you will not always have me. Matthew 26:11. By pouring this perfume on me, she has prepared my body for burial. Matthew 26:12. Truly, I tell you, wherever this gospel is preached in all the world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her. Matthew 26:13. Then one of the 12, the one called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests. Matthew 26:14. And asked, "What are you willing to give me if I hand him over to you?" And they set out for him 30 pieces of silver. Matthew 26:15. So from that time on, Judas looked for an opportunity to betray Jesus. Matthew 26:16. On the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Where do you want us to prepare for you to eat the Passover?" Matthew 26:17. He answered, "Go into the city to a certain man and tell him that the teacher says, 'My time is near. I will keep the Passover with my disciples at your house.'" Matthew 26:18. So the disciples did as Jesus had directed them and prepared the Passover. Matthew 26:19. When evening came, Jesus was reclining with the 12 disciples. Matthew 26:20. And while they were eating, he said to them, "Truly, I tell you, one of you will betray me." They were deeply grieved and began to ask him one after another, "Surely not I, Lord?" Matthew 26:22. Jesus answered, "The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me will betray me." Matthew 26:23. The Son of Man will go just as it is written about him, but woe to that man by whom he is betrayed. It would be better for him if he had not been born. Matthew 26:24. Then Judas, who would betray him, said, "Surely not I, Rabbi." Jesus answered, "You have said it yourself." Matthew 26:25. While they were eating, Jesus took bread, spoke a blessing, and broke it, and gave it to the disciples, saying, "Take and eat. This is my body." Then he took the cup, gave thanks, and gave it to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you. Matthew 26:27. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. Matthew 26:28. I tell you, I will not drink of this fruit of the vine from now on until that day when I drink it anew with you in my Father's kingdom. Matthew 26:29. And when they had sung a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. Matthew 26:30. Then Jesus said to them, "This very night you will all fall away on account of me. For it is written, I will strike the serpent, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered." Matthew 26:31. But after I have risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee. Matthew 26:32. Peter said to him, "Even if all fall away on account of you, I never will." Matthew 26:33. Truly I tell you, Jesus declared, this very night before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. Matthew 26:34. Peter replied, "Even if I have to die with you, I will never deny you." And all the other disciples said the same thing. Matthew 26:35. At that time, Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane, and he told them, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." Matthew 26:36. He took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee and began to be sorrowful and deeply distressed. So we jumped to Matthew 26:44. Then he returned to the disciples and said, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Look, the hour is near, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of the sinners." Matthew 26:45. Rise, let us go. See, my betrayer is approaching. Matthew 26:46. While Jesus was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived accompanied by a large crowd, armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests and elders of the people. Matthew 26:47. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. "The one I kiss is the man, arrest him." Matthew 26:48. Going directly to Jesus, he said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and kissed him. Matthew 26:49. "Friend," Jesus replied, "do what you came for." Then the man stepped forward, seized Jesus, and arrested him. Matthew 26:50. At this, one of Jesus' companions drew his sword and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. Matthew 26:51. "Put your sword back in its place," Jesus said to him. "For all who draw the sword will die by the sword." Matthew 26:52. "Are you not aware that I can call on my Father, and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels?" Matthew 26:53. But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled that said it must happen this way? Matthew 26:54. At that time Jesus said to the crowd, "Have you come out with swords and clubs to arrest me as you would an outlaw? Every day I sat teaching in the temple courts, and you did not arrest me." Matthew 26:55. But this has all happened so that the writings of the prophets would be fulfilled. Then all the disciples deserted him and fled. Matthew 26:56. Those who had arrested Jesus led him away to the house of Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and elders had gathered. Matthew 26:57. But Peter followed him at a distance, right up to the courtyard of the high priest, and he went in and sat down with the guards to see the outcome. Matthew 26:58. Now the chief priests and the whole Sanhedrin were seeking false testimony against Jesus in order to put him to death. Matthew 26:59. But they could not find it, though many false witnesses came forward. Finally, two came forward. Matthew 26:60. And declared, "This man said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and rebuild it in 3 days." Matthew 26:61. So the high priest stood up and asked him, "Have you no answer? What are these men testifying against you?" Matthew 26:62. But Jesus remained silent. Then the high priest said to him, "I charge you under oath by the living God. Tell us if you are the Christ, the Son of God." Matthew 26:63. "You have said it yourself," Jesus answered. "But I say to all of you, from now on you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on the clouds of heaven." Matthew 26:64. At this, the high priest tore his clothes and declared, "He has blemished. Why do we need any more witnesses? Look, now you have heard the blasphemy." Matthew 26:65. "What do you think? He deserves to die," they answered. Matthew 26:66. Then they spat in his face, and struck him. Others slapped him. Matthew 26:67. And said, "Prophesy to us, Christ, who hit you?" And we jump to Matthew 26:70. When Peter had gone out to the gateway, another servant girl saw him and said to the people there, "This man was with Jesus of Nazareth." Matthew 26:71. And again he denied it with an oath, "I do not know this man." Matthew 26:72. After a little while, those standing nearby came up to Peter. "Surely you are one of them," they said, "for your accent gives you away." Matthew 26:73. At that he began to curse and swear to them, "I do not know the man," and immediately a rooster crowed. Matthew 26:74. Then Peter remembered the word that Jesus had spoken, "Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times." and he went outside and wept bitterly. Matthew 27:1. When morning came, all the chief priests and elders of the people conspired against Jesus to put him to death. They bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate, the governor. Matthew 27:2. When Judas, who had betrayed him, saw that Jesus was condemned, he was filled with remorse and returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders. Matthew 27:3. I have sinned by betraying innocent blood, he said. What is that to us? They replied, you bear the responsibility. Matthew 27:4. So Judas threw the silver into the temple and left. Then he went away and hanged himself. Excuse me. Matthew 27:5. The chief priests picked up the pieces of silver and said, it is unlawful to put this into the treasury, since it is blood money. Matthew 27:6. After conferring together, they used the money to buy the potter's field as a burial place for foreigners. Matthew 27:7. That is why it has been called the field of blood to this day. Matthew 27:8. Then what was spoken through Jeremiah, the prophet, was fulfilled. They took the 30 pieces of silver, the price set on him by the people of Israel. Matthew 27:9. And they gave them for the potter's field, as the Lord had commanded me. Matthew 27:10. Meanwhile, Jesus stood before the governor, who questioned him, Are you the King of Jews? You have said so, Jesus replied. Matthew 27:11. And when he was accused by the chief priests and elders, he gave no answer. Matthew 27:12. Then Pilate asked him, Do you not hear how many charges they are bringing against you? Matthew 27:13. But Jesus gave no answer, not even to a single charge, much to the governor's amazement. Matthew 27:14. Now it was the governor's custom at the feast to release to the crowd a prisoner of their choosing. Matthew 27:15. At that time, they were holding a notorious prisoner named Barabbas. Matthew 27:16. So when the crowd had assembled, Pilate asked him, Which one do you want me to release to you, Barabbas or Jesus, who is called Christ? Matthew 27:17. For he knew it was out of envy that they had handed Jesus over to him. Matthew 27:18. While Pilate was sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent him this message, having nothing to do with that innocent man, for I have suffered terribly in a dream today because of him. Matthew 27:19. But the chief priests and elders persuaded the crowds to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus put to death. Matthew 27:20. Which of the two do you want me to release to you? Asked the governor. Barabbas, they replied. Matthew 27:21. What then should I do with Jesus, who is called Christ? Pilate asked. They all answered, Crucify him. Matthew 27:22. Why? Asked Pilate. What evil has he done? But they shouted all the louder, Crucify him. Matthew 27:23. When Pilate saw that he was accomplishing nothing, but that instead a riot was breaking out, he took water and washed his hands before the crowd. I am innocent of this man's blood, he said. You bear the responsibility. Matthew 27:24. All the people answered, His blood be on us and on our children. Matthew 27:25. So Pilate released Barabbas to them, but he had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified. Matthew 27:26. Then the governor's soldiers took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered the whole company around him. Matthew 27:27. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him. Matthew 27:28. And they twisted together a crowd of thorns and set it on his head. They put a staff in his right hand and kneeled down before him to mock him, saying, Hail, King of Jews. Matthew 27:29. Then they spat on him and took the staff and struck him on the head repeatedly. Matthew 27:30. After they had mocked him, they removed the robe and put his own clothes back on him. Then they led him away to crucify him. Matthew 27:31. Along the way, they found a man from Cyrene named Simon, and they forced him to carry the cross of Jesus. Matthew 27:32. And when they came to a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. Matthew 27:33. They offered him wine to drink mixed with gall, but after tasting it, he refused to drink it. Matthew 27:34. When they had crucified him, they divided up his garments by casting lots. Matthew 27:35. And sitting down, they kept watch over him there. Matthew 27:36. Above his head, they posted the written charge against him. This is Jesus, the King of Jews. Matthew 27:37. Two robbers were crucified with him, one on his right hand and the other on his left. Matthew 27:38. And those who passed by heaped abuse on him, shaking their heads. Matthew 27:39. And saying, You who are going to destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross. Matthew 27:40. In the same way, the chief priests scribes and elders mocked him, saying, Matthew 27:41. He saved others, but he cannot save himself. He is the King of Israel. Let him come down now from the cross, and we will believe in him. Matthew 27:42. He trusts in God. Let God deliver him now if he wants him. For he said, I am the Son of God. Matthew 27:43. In the same way, even the robbers who were crucified with him betrayed him. Matthew 27:44. From the 6th hour until the 9th hour, darkness came over all the land. Matthew 27:45. About the 9th hour, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? When some of those standing there heard this, they said, he is calling Elijah. Matthew 27:47. One of them quickly ran and brought a sponge. He filled it with vinegar, put it on a reed, and held it up for Jesus to drink. Matthew 27:48. But the other said, leave him alone. Let us see if Elijah comes to save him. Matthew 27:49. When Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he yelled up his spirit. Matthew 27:50. At that moment, the veil of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth quaked and the rocks were split. Matthew 27:51. The tombs broke open, and the bodies of many saints who had fallen asleep were raised. Matthew 27:52. After Jesus' resurrection, when they had come out of the tombs, they entered the holy city and appeared to many people. When the centurion and those with him who were guarding Jesus saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were terrified and said, truly this was the Son of God. Matthew 27:54. And many women were there watching from a distance. They had followed Jesus from Galilee to minister to him. Matthew 27:55. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of Zebedee's sons. Matthew 27:56. When it was evening, there came a rich man from Arimathea, named Joseph, who himself was a disciple of Jesus. Matthew 27:57. He went to Pilate to ask for the body of Jesus, and Pilate ordered that it be given to him. So Joseph took the body, wrapped it in a clean, not linen cloth. Matthew 27:59. And placed it in his own new tomb that he had cut into the rock. Then he rolled a great stone across the entrance to the tomb and went away. Matthew 27:60. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were sitting there opposite the tomb. Mathew 27:61. The next day, the one after preparation day, the chief priests and Mammon assembled before Pilate. Mathew 27:62. Sir, they said, we remember that while he was alive, that deceiver said, after 3 days I will rise again. Mathew 27:63. So give the order that the tomb be secured until the 3rd day, otherwise his disciples may come and steal him away and tell the people he has risen from the dead, and this last deception would be worse than the first. Mathew 27:64. You have a guard, Pilate said. Go, make the tomb as secure as you know how. Mathew 27:65. So they went and secured the tomb by sealing the stone and posting the guard. Mathew 28:1. After the Sabbath at dawn on the 1st day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to see the tomb. Suddenly there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descended from heaven, rolled away the stone, and sat on it. Mathew 28:2. Suddenly there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descended from heaven, rolled away the stone, and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothes were white as snow. Mathew 28:3. The guards trembled in fear of him and became like dead men. Mathew 28:4. But the angel said to the women, do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. Matthew 28:5. He is not here, he has risen, just as he said. Come, see the place where he lay. Matthew 28:6. Then go quickly and tell his disciples, he has risen from the dead and is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him. See, I have told you. Matthew 28:7. So they hurried away from the tomb in fear and great joy, and ran to tell his disciples. Matthew 28:8. Suddenly Jesus met them and said, Greetings. They came to him, grasped his feet, and worshipped him. Matthew 28:9. Do not be afraid, said Jesus. Go, tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me. Matthew 28:10. While the women were on their way, some of the guards went into the city and reported to the chief priests all that had happened. Matthew 28:11. And after the chief priests had met with the elders and formed a plan, they gave the soldiers a large sum of money. Matthew 28:12. And instructed them, you are to say, his disciples came by night and stole him away while we were asleep. Matthew 28:13. If this report reaches the governor, we will satisfy him and keep you out of trouble. Matthew 28:14. So the guards took the money and did as they were instructed, and this account has been circulated among the Jews to this very day. Matthew 28:15. Meanwhile, the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain Jesus had designated. Matthew 28:16. When they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. Matthew 28:17. Then Jesus came to them and said, All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Matthew 28:18. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Matthew 28:19. And teaching them to obey all that I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always, to the very end of the age. Now we know that Jesus crucified on the Passover day and then resurrect on the Saturday after the Sabbath, before the beginning of the first day of the week. So, which is tomorrow, Jesus crucifixion is tomorrow, April 3rd. And then tonight is his last supper with his disciples. So tomorrow is the Passover. At the same time is Passover and Jesus' crucifixion. Then 3 days, 3 nights is April 6th, the Saturday, which is Jesus' resurrection. That's why Obama picked that day to have a speech in Berlin at the Satan seat. Okay, so this week is really biblical, and it means a lot. So I'm sure there will be a lot happening, probably starting later today in the evening to probably Saturday evening. Okay, so stay safe and be prepared. Thank you.